In this video, I'm breaking down the exact formula that I use to evaluate lots to lock in profitable deals every time. Stick around to learn the steps that give me total confidence in every investment. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I drop a video on how to become a successful and confident new construction home builder. I've helped countless people master this formula not only for their own builds, but now they've created an additional stream of income by selling lots to other builders as well. My students aren't just finding deals, they're generating a consistent flow of opportunities that boost their profits and open doors for others in the industry. If you're ready to turn lot buying into a reliable source of income, you're in the right place. My name is Thayer, licensed general contractor right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm going to show you exactly how I've been doing this for over 2 decades. Let's dive into this. Okay, so we're going to break this down into 5 easy steps. First is going to be looking at the tax record. We want to identify the zoning and look at the GIS there. Next, we're going to look at the UDO. I'll explain more about that in just a minute. We're going to comp it. I'm going to look at comping it based on using the MLS. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you how to calculate what the max you should be paying for this lot. Okay, let's jump into this. I'm going to use one of my properties that I'm currently building right now. We just got started on this one. So 730 Hopkins. Okay, we're on 730 Hopkins, and this is an attached home. Not a duplex, but an attached home, meaning it's like 2 in units of a townhome with a property line going down the center. The difference between an attached home and a duplex is an attached home is going to be on their own parcels, their own lots. They own the land. If it was a duplex, you would have 2 units on one parcel. Therefore, if you wanted to sell off each unit individually, you'd have to create a condo association. They would not own the land, only the air rights. So let's get into this. We have 730 and 732, as you're about to see in just a minute here. One of the first things when I'm evaluating, and when I evaluated this from the beginning, is I would go to land because I want to identify what the zoning is. And in this case, it's RU dash, and then in parentheses, we have 2. There's actually 2 of them. There's RU-5 and RU-5 parentheses 2. They each mean a little bit different, but let's get into the next thing. So, you're going to look at the general information about the property. You can click through different things. And remember, this is Durham, North Carolina. If I go into any of the other surrounding municipalities, every one of these will look completely different. It's not like North Carolina in general looks like this. Every single city, municipality will look completely different. So what I'm looking for is going to be what we call GIS, Geographical Information System. In this site here, they identify it as the map. When you go into it, it opens up the GIS. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it first opens up. You can see we own this property. We're just going to look at a little bit of data now. But we're imagining that this is when I was evaluating the property before we owned it. So I'll look at some of the information here. It doesn't give me a whole lot there. I can go into advanced report. And again, remember, every one of these are going to look completely different. It tells me what the size of the lot is. Nothing I really care about here. Urban tier. This is an important thing here. When I'm looking in the UDO, I need to know what tier it's in. It's either going to be urban or suburban, sometimes rural. And that, again, remember, these are the names of what it says for this municipality in the city of Durham. Don't think that everywhere it's going to be the same. I'm giving you the tools and understanding of what to look for. It may have some different language in there. Related records, probably nothing here that I'm going to care about. Okay, so just kind of glance at this stuff, just see if anything pops out. I'm going to shut this down, and basically what this is creating for me is like an aerial view. As you see, we could switch it over to a true aerial view, and we can slide it to kind of see different years, what things look like, see if they had other data. You can see in 1999, there was what looks like one unit here. It might have been a duplex. It's kind of hard to see. You can see in 2005, it's been already demoed. So sometime between 99 and 2005, it was demoed. So that's for just kind of a quick reference. And as you see, by the time we got it, this is only 21, so we're still a few years away. This lot is completely filled up with trees. So I want to really focus on the map here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to add some layers. And this is pretty consistent on most of the municipalities that I've seen. It is called layers. But here, how they identify each layer may be different. So as you see, some of these automatically pop on. I want to know the address. This stuff I don't really care about, but it doesn't really affect me. Calculate parcel annotation. This right here is going to turn into the dimensions of the lots, our length and depth. But then I'll show you different things like from here to here, it's 19 foot. Here, right here, it shows 5 foot is just right there. It was 48 foot. You see, they added the line. When I bought this, it was one lot. Okay, so we've added this line. GIS has this still identified as 48 feet, but it's evenly spaced on each side. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at here is I want to see impervious surfaces to see if there's any concrete, any structures, any solid surfaces whatsoever on this lot. And as we see, there is nothing on there currently. Okay. Some of the other things we can look at topo. The topo lines will show me the slope. So I'm looking at this and it shows 358. So it's 358 feet above sea level. As you see, it drops down to 352. So it's a fairly flat lot. It does have a slight slope from front to back. So it kind of gives me an idea. Again, this is our desktop view, how we're looking, how we're evaluating to see if we actually want to drive over, take a look at this lot, walk the lot, and make sure everything's good. So we want to eliminate any kind of problems before that. We already know the zoning, so we don't need to turn anything on there. But some GISs, in order to get the zoning, you do have to pop this on. And this is in another training. I'll show you how we use this layer right here to actually find lots. So we're just kind of scan through. Is there anything in here that we really care about? Here's a big one. We always want to see if we're in any type of flood zone. Nothing's showing there. Nothing is showing there. Just kind of pop on and off some of these to see if there's anything in here that we want to know. Next thing that we're looking for is any kind of blue lines or, bodies of water whatsoever. And as you see, we've got this blue line that kind of continues, looks like it goes under the street and continues off and comes over into here. At some point in time, this has been diverted. I've not gone over here to see what it actually does. But you can see I've been over here at the top of this and looked at this. The rest of it's not important to me. I just know that there is no culvert, there's no stormwater, there's nothing behind here. The reason why we're looking for blue lines is because let's just say this is some type of active stream and not stormwater. This is actually stormwater. It probably comes up underneath here and ties into something going on over here and runs downhill along the street, because this is not a newer development, but they've newly remodeled and maybe they diverted it at some point in time. They never updated GIS. Not important to me. I just know that I've checked this out. I've worked with the city and the state to make sure that none of this is actually any kind of blue line whatsoever. But let's just imagine that this is a stream. If this is a stream, this could be a problem. Could be, could not be. Basically, they protect any kind of water stream because it would flow into some type of river that ultimately maybe flows into a lake, that ultimately flows into another river, that ultimately ends up into our ocean. So they're trying to protect any kind of silt or runoff or any kind of disruption whatsoever of this body of water to make sure that we keep everything protected. So there could be a situation where, let's just say this is a highly protected stream, and there could be some type of buffer, which is also identified as a riparian buffer, where there's a no build zone. So it might be, let's just say, a 50-foot riparian buffer with an additional 10-foot no build zone. It could be a 100-foot riparian buffer with an additional 20 feet. That's in Durham. Other places can be completely different. So this is the stuff that you need to know and understand. Now, let's just say this was 100 feet with a 20-foot no buffer. Okay, it's hard to see right here because I have this address over the top. This is 155 feet deep, as you see, 50, 50, 55. Now, if I couldn't build on 120 feet of this, this lot would be garbage to me. I would not be able to do it. So therefore, I would just kind of move on and pass this deal up and just not even bother with it. But in this case, I did a little bit of research, found out that this is nothing. It doesn't even exist anymore. Again, it was stormwater, and they probably redirected it somehow, some way, because there's no culvert, there's no pipes, there's no nothing. And that was all confirmed. What I am wanting to know and understand is my size, my topo. We've already discounted this. When I was evaluating this lot, it was 48 feet by 155 feet deep. Now, what's the next step? Step number 2. Now we want to go over to the UDO. UDO stands for Unified Development Ordinance. You'll have to learn what your UDO is like and where everything is and what you're looking for. But I already know the Durham UDO, and this is where I want to start off. In Article 7, Design Standards. Okay, that's some type of wording like this is pretty typical from one municipality to the next when you're looking for the information that we're about to go after. So I'm just going to start at the top and give you some information that you can learn and study. So I'm looking at single family detached standards. Remember, we are RU-5 parentheses 2. Now, if I was just to build a single family home with no restrictions whatsoever, my lot would need to be 5,000 square feet. I would need a minimum of 45 feet wide, which, by the way, both of those recheck off. Street yard means the front setback. So that would be how far from the front of the property line back where the actual structure can start. But if you look into this a little bit deeper, scroll down in, we really study this, we'll understand that in urban tier, it's going to be different. Urban tier, basically what I need to do, go back over to GIS for a minute. So if you see this house is, well, let's go across the street. It's a little bit easier. It's a lot more across the street. So let's just imagine our property is on this side of the street. From corner to corner, so this block, if you look at, this is probably the closest to the street, and this one right here would be the furthest from the street. So we would get our surveyors to measure from the property line to the front of the structure, property line, front of the structure. And whatever that line ends up being, I can set my home anywhere in between this line right here. You see, I don't have much to work with on this side of the street. So that's how urban tier works in Durham. So coming back over here to the UDO, this doesn't apply to me because I'm in urban tier. This is going to be if I was on a corner lot, that would be my side setback. My side setbacks otherwise are going to be 5 foot. Let's scroll down here to a couple different things. So we've got a small lot option. This allows for density. Now, if I wanted to do 2 houses, 2 single family homes over there, I would have to have a minimum front width at the street, 25 feet. Remember, I have 48 feet, so this is not an option for me. So I'm going to look and see what my best options are. So we have a 0 lot line option. Again, 5,000 square feet. I can only build 1 unit here. So let's go down to traditional house standards, which is the same as the first one. We know we don't want to do that. Okay, here's another one, attached homes. So remember, we've got 2 parcels. We have a line down the center where these 2 units touch. They come together, just like 2 in units of a townhome or like a duplex. The only difference between a duplex and this is this lot line wouldn't exist. It would just be on 1 parcel. Okay, so this is interesting. I can build 2 units and maximize my density as long as my requirements work out. So 5,000 square feet checks. Because I believe if we come back over here and let me click on the lot, we have 3,700 square feet per side. So 37 and 37 is more than enough to cover our 5,000 square feet. 45 feet, we had 48 feet, so we're good there. This is our front setback. Remember, this does not apply to us because we're in an urban tier. 5-foot side setbacks. My rear setback is 25. I have a lot of depth. I don't have to worry about this. So I can go ahead and factor to put an attached home on here. See, this is showing the difference. See the duplex? So we have 2 units on one parcel versus 2 units on each their own parcel. That's the difference between attached and the duplex. So based on this information, we're going to stick with looking at the attached house option. So everything checks the boxes. We can do this. Other things that you need to look at is when you're doing this, this is just my 50,000 foot view. It's kind of checking the box. There's other things that you need to know and understand. So it's a good idea to really get to know this part of the UDO in your area. You can also talk to the city anytime that, before you make final decisions, get with the city and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do on this lot. This is the data for this lot. Can you give me a thumbs up that I can do this? So when I was evaluating this, I know this area very well. I know that attached homes are going up all over the place. I thought that this was probably going to be my best bet. So let's start doing some comps. If you're starting to see some value, some light bulbs going off, I want you to hit that like button. And also, we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Are you feeling comfortable and ready to start buying lots, or do you still have questions? Your thoughts and questions make these videos even better, so don't hold back. So I'm using MLS. And let's start off by putting the address. As you see, here's our property. I'm going to start off by going half mile out. Put just some criteria. We want to see anything sold and even pending. Now, if you don't have access to the MLS, you can use another program called PropStream. PropStream gives you the same data that you can get from the MLS anywhere in the country. So you don't have to have, this is specific to my area. If I were to be building or doing something outside of my area, PropStream would be a better resource for me, since we only have access to MLS because my wife is a realtor and I'm considered an assistant to her to have access to the MLS as well. So we're going to put some filters on here. Date range, I'm actually going to start off by looking at 12 months. As you see, we've got 30. I'm going to put on here 2015 is our minimum. So drops it down to 10. That's probably a pretty good number of properties to look at. So 2015 or newer, because we're going to build new. So I want something that's newer. I like to see the report in a different view to give me better data without having to click in and out of every single one of these transactions. So as you see, this one right here is active on the market 70 days. Let's see if we can get an idea. It was built in 2021. Okay, looks like it was probably, my guess is this was a old Habitat home and probably doesn't have the greatest finishes. Let's see here. No, it's actually done very well. Looked like an older Habitat home at first glance. Finishes are good. Let's see if we can see what's going on here. Anything, they want 475. It's built in 21. Decent sized lot. It's 1,500 square feet. So it shows bathrooms two, bedrooms total two, and a main level bedroom. So this has a first floor master, but this only has one floor. So this is a two bedroom, two bathroom, but over here it's stating three. I don't know if that's a typo of some sort, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Okay, so I'm gonna go back out here. I just wanted to get some idea of why this has 70 days on the market. 1500 does show 3.2 here. What do we have down here? Down here we have 1200, 15, 17, 17, 16, and then we've gotten a 2000s. Okay, lower days on market. It's not bad. Very good, low. These have zero, which probably tells me that these are new builds, because new builds do not acquire days on market. Yes, built in 2024. So these are new builds. They don't show days on market. The other ones are retrades. These are all retrades. This is probably a new build here. Modern style. They probably pulled the permit in 23, sold it in 24. Probably took them a lot longer to build for some reason, but that's a new build. Okay, so let's look at some of these other ones. Eva Street. This is actually a home that I built back in like 2016 or 2017. So let's see, this one, list price is 570. We'll look at the other data in just a minute. Yeah, see, this was sold or built in 2017. I built this in 2017, 1,600 square feet, 3, 2.5. I know that. So we've got 16 days on the market, listed for 570, sold for 572. So a little bit over asking. Let's look at some of these other ones. This one right here, 4 days on the market. It was listed for 619. Actually went for 650. Okay. What we have going on? Just traditional 2,300 square feet. This one has 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. Maybe just look at some of the details. I'm just kind of scanning through this, trying to, create a story. Year built 2019. Actually built 611. I may have even built 608. Let's see. I definitely built this house, maybe same time, 2017, 2016. 3.2, 1,700 square feet. So most of the comps are my actual comps. Yes, I built this house as well. 1,734 square feet. This one was built in 16. Looks like the majority is a 3.2s. They have great days on market. Let's look at this one right here. I built this one as well. 2017, 15. So the majority of these are my own comps. Let's see. This. Those 4 are all my own comps from 2016, 2017. These 2 are not. We've got 0 days on market. That's a new build, 23. So this was very popular square footage back then. The 2000s and the very low, smaller ones, like these 1,200 square foot homes, these are popular. And then about 2000, also 2000 to 2,400 square feet, 1,900 to 2,400 square feet is also popular in this area. This right here, not too many people are building that square footage, but that was basically, as you see, the majority, they're between 1,568 and 1,734. So there's not much of a difference, a couple hundred square feet, pretty much everything that we were building at that time. So now I know that this is popular and this is popular. As you see, new build, new build, new build, new build. These are popular square footages. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, so we have 300 square foot, 318, 320. They're all pretty much the same. These 2 right here drop a little bit lower. So let's do this. I'm going to look at this 2,000 square foot, and we don't have anything pending. We have active. I'm just going to check off these right now to just look at these. That's an average. We're going to narrow them down because that's about what we're going to be building. This one right here goes for a little bit more. That's the modern style home. We are going to go with a more of a modern style, 296. So if I figure that we're going to be doing about 2,200 square feet, this one's 2,162 and 296. I'll figure I'm gonna use this price per square foot right here. And as you see, if we just go back to our original before they were checked off, the one thing that we know is this. These are all in the 300s. They're a little bit smaller. A lot of times when you get the smaller homes, they're more compacted. You can get a higher price per square foot. Your price per square foot will decrease some as you get a little bit bigger. So I know if I factor 296 to, 300, I feel pretty confident. I typically get a higher price per square foot on my builds because we build a slightly better product. We have some good design, good layouts, and they're received very well. So I'm actually going to figure about $300 a square foot times 2,200 square feet, which puts me right at about $660,000 for the home, each side that I'm going to be building. So I'm going to factor about 660 on these, which as you see, would be the highest out of all of these. These are also a little bit north. Every single one of these are north of where I'm building. I'm not really sure where that street is, but all the rest of these are a little bit north of where I'm building. And as I get a little bit further south and I get closer to not only downtown, if I scroll out, and this right here, which is called Golden Belt, so it's a cool little spot. So our homes are right over here. This is kind of getting into downtown, all of this right here. All of the other houses that we were just looking at are right up in this area. So a little bit north. So it tends to be a little bit better down in here, even as you get a little bit further over in here. So 660 is what I'm going to go with as my sales price, somewhere around 660. I feel like that's pretty conservative considering even though these are smaller, the price per square foot's a little bit higher. I feel like we can even reach up into maybe the 700s or so. And of course, when we build and we're ready to list, we're going to relook at our comps and see what changed. So we're going to go with 660 right now. The next thing that we want to look at is our horizontal cost. So I'm going to pop over in here. I'm just going to look at our main number right here. This calculates everything up from over here, which will break down my survey costs. As you see, this was a budgeted number. Estimated number is not filled in here, but this is what we gave a PO for with our contractor. Next line item is going to be our structural engineering plans. I don't know what that budget number is even in there for, but this is what we ended up contracting PO. Design fees, we have 2,500 figured in there. Lot clearing. So we're going down all these different items showing and totals up to here. We had a VPO for removing some trash from the lot and an additional $2,000, which brings that number to 52,000. Now, if I want to break down different details and comps and such, I can come into these screens right here. But right now, for a minute, we're just going to focus on this. So we've got 52,753, which is totaled up from all of these different items right here. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate now, put some of these numbers together. Okay, so let's go back to some key notable numbers that we talked about. We identified that the sales price for each unit will be 660K each, okay? Which will total 1.32 million together. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to take this number and multiply this by 20%, which gives us 264K. Next thing, remember our horizontal costs. I'm just going to round this up to figure for contingencies or whatever other things that may come up in there and say our horizontal cost is 60K. It was 52, 53, something like that. We're gonna say $60,000. So I'm gonna subtract that from the 264, which gives me $204,000. This is telling me that's the max I can pay for this lot. What I actually paid for this lot is $100,000. So as you see, this property as it came to me with 730 Hopkins, we figured 660 per unit. I've got property taxes, zoning, square footage. I'm projected to do 2 units. Projected horizontal expenses, I was figured 20,000. And as you see, we went way more than that. And there's a due diligence section that actually gives us the exact, once we're getting prices from contractors, but this is what my evaluation. Max offer at the time was 244. They were asking 120. I offered them 90. They took 100. Put a deposit. Remember the 20%? I'm only at 769. So coming back over to the whiteboard, I can pay up to 204,000 for this particular property. Instead, I got it for 100. So I'd say that we got a pretty good deal on this lot. And the way you look at it, I have 2 lots. So I'm at 50K each. This is the basic concept of how I go about buying lots to make sure. Now, if I start off with these numbers, and I'm already that much below my max, and the only time I ever buy max is if I'm buying from a developer, they've done all the work, I don't have anything else to worry about, no additional work to do, I can basically go, get plans, get permits, and I can start building immediately. Hopefully all this makes sense to you, and now you have an idea of how to buy lots in your area. So let's just stop for a minute, do a recap, and see what we've learned so far. So far, we have found the property, we have identified it on the tax record, we went over to the GIS, looked around, see what zoning we're in, and what the lot size is, what the topography looked like, if there's any streams or any kind of lakes or ponds, any kind of water to worry about. Now we wanted to see exactly what we can do to that lot. So we went over to the Unified Development Ordinance, also known as UDO. We looked at the attached homes chart and saw with that zoning, the RU52, what can we do with it? We noticed that in that chart, it said 45 foot wide. We saw our side setbacks have to be at least 5 feet. Rear setbacks is 25 feet. So we checked all the boxes for an attached home. What does this mean? Instead of putting one house at, let's just call it for simple number, 650,000. Now I can build 2 houses just by drawing a line in between that lot, which is a pretty quick process for me in Durham. My surveyor can do it. It took me all of about 2 months max from the time I purchased the lot to the time I had that split recorded. And by that time, I already had plans built, and we went right into getting building permits so that we can build this property. So instead of having 1 at 650, now we have 2 at 650, making this a $1.3 million sale instead of 650. Yes, of course, we're going to have more expenses, but our expenses are going to be just like building 2 houses. But because they're attached, I'm going to reduce some of my expenses, and we're going to make higher profits on this one. Now, the cool thing about this is that I got this deal sent to me by somebody who was not in this area, a wholesaler, for $100,000. So basically, I'm paying $50,000 per lot. The next thing that we need to start calculating is our horizontal cost. What is horizontal? Any of your dirt costs, water, sewer, tearing down a house if there's an existing structure. In this case, there was not. Clearing the lot. We did have to clear the lot. Doing some grading. There was a bunch of trees on the lot. Doing some grading. We ran into a few surprises here, but we could talk about that in another video once we get deeper into actually starting to do the horizontal work. Again, hit the like button, drop a comment if you like this video, and if there was some kind of light bulb that went off and is making you see how you can evaluate lots and actually maximize your profits. If you're still struggling to understand this process, but you really want to become a successful and confident new construction home builder, shoot us an email at info@homebuildingbp.com. If you want to dive deeper on this process, make sure you watch my next video where we go deeper into learning more about the UDO.